Good afternoon, everybody. It is a huge honor to be here with you. Congratulations, class of 2023. What an incredible accomplishment. Yes. I stand before you as excited about this medicine as I was 20 years ago now, sitting in your very seats. You picked an incredible profession, full of soul, of meaning, a profession where you will have the opportunity to truly touch and benefit people's lives. And you came in at the right time. You came in at a time where we are well received and where we are in positions to have impact. Every day, I'm excited to get to work and see the gifts of this medicine in action. And lately, one of the most rewarding places to see those gifts have been in the doctoral residency program. I am so proud of the work that is being done there and the transformations we are seeing. We're helping U.S. veterans, in this case mostly combat veterans, who are dealing with severe post-traumatic stress disorder, chronic pain, and substance abuse disorders. We have seen dozens of veterans come through our clinic, and the results have been really astounding. We're watching nervous systems rewire. We're seeing people shed pain that has followed them for decades. We're watching tough, challenged, battle-tested men and women come into their peace and their health. I recall one person that we've been helping who suffered from extreme nightmares and PTSD episodes. He was a veteran of the Tet Offensive in Vietnam. His nightmares followed him through decades. They were bad enough that he couldn't sleep next to his wife. He had to be in a separated room. His episodes made him unsafe to be around. He had severe back pain, and that back pain led to his feet being numb, which made it hard to walk. This was somebody who carried a war with him for decades. Medicine did not provide much relief, the pharmaceuticals and other things he had tried. And he came to acupuncture out of openness and out of desperation to get some relief. And that relief he found. In a relatively short order, this gentleman began sleeping through the night. His PTSD episodes by daytime reduced by over 70%. His back pain went from surgical to tolerable to living pretty well. And over time, the feeling returned in his feet, improving his gait. And that is the gift of this medicine. That is the kind of impact that you graduates get to have out in the world using the tools you've been given. I am super proud of our first cohort of doctoral residents who have not only honed their skills with acupuncture and East Asian medicine, but who have honed their bedside manner, who have learned how to be with people who are suffering, people who are facing dire challenges. What does it mean to not shy away? What does it mean to be present with another human being and a patient, to be worthy of their trust, for them to be listened to, for them to feel safe, for them to be willing to disclose to the point that you can see a lasting impact in their life? Two of our doctoral residents are here today. I get choked up. And I'd like to acknowledge them. Kirsten Thomas and Augustin Orozco. Please stand up for a moment. There's a saying at the VA that veterans vote with their feet. They're a very blunt crowd. They will tell you what is working and what is not, and you know when it's working because they vote with their feet. They keep showing up. And the amount of repeat, regular, consistent veterans showing up to our clinic is amazing. Our front desk office manager, himself a veteran, who's worked across the VA system, has said to us, "I've never been in a clinic where people end up so uplifted. I've never been in a space that veterans seem so happy to show up and so transformed after they leave." And the leadership that Emperor's College has had over 40 years in this field, helping us to integrate this medicine, is profound. And I remember deeply Dr. Kim, 20 years ago, when I was in school, not only encouraging the study and the detail of the medicine, but always talking about the cultivation of the heart. Always reminding us to value the person in front of us. And your legacy is out there and having great impact. Grads, you have inherited something truly special. You've been given the refined knowledge of 3,000 years of East Asia's brightest doctors, countless generations of practical experience and testing, and through this medicine, you will touch the lives of thousands of others. William Osler, one of the founders of Johns Hopkins, had an amazing quote: "The practice of medicine is an art, not a trade, a calling, not a business, a calling in which your heart will be exercised equally with your head." For the families and guests, becoming a practitioner of Chinese medicine is an enormous undertaking. It is nothing short of inspiring. We're talking about 3,000 to 4,000 hours of instruction, extensive training in anatomy, physiology, pathophysiology, Western clinical medicine, pharmacology, the interpretation of labs, MRIs, and CT results, the psychology of patient care, medical ethics, nutrition. The list goes on, and that is just the Western component. Chinese medical theory is a vast subject into itself. There are nearly 400 points on the human body, and these graduates have studied where they are, what muscle, bone, blood vessel, nerve underpins them, which ones work together in harmony, which ones should be not combined. How do you needle them? At what depth? At what angle? It is a vast amount of knowledge. And now add to that nearly 400 herbs, over 100 herb formulas. It is staggering the quantity of study that goes into this discipline. The body of science that is validating this medicine is growing by the day. We know that acupuncture releases natural painkillers, endorphins that elevate your mood, are anti-inflammatory in property, and that they trigger neuroplasticity and positive changes in the brain. The ancient Chinese and East Asian doctors were brilliant. Every category of medication you can think of, they discovered in plant form. Blood thinners, antibiotics, hormone replacement therapy, statins, blood pressure regulating medications. It was such a complete system, and now with Western science, we understand how these plants do what they do. In 2015, the Nobel Prize was given to a doctor who successfully studied the active ingredient in an herb used to treat malaria. That active ingredient turned into the leading drug for malaria and has helped save millions of lives. That is part of the legacy of this medicine. And yet the greatest beauty in Chinese medicine is not in treating diseases, but building health. You have the tools to replenish your patients, to empower them to take care of themselves, to find and fix imbalances long before they even become symptoms. Teach your patient self-care, and please make it important to take care of yourself as you take care of them. Remind your patients that they have a remarkable capacity to heal. We are such resilient and regenerative beings. Discover your patients' joys and gifts and talents and encourage them to engage in them because they are fountainheads of health. Being a doctor of acupuncture and East Asian medicine is being tapped into the fundamental wiring harness of a human being. Knowing the myriad of interconnections between the parts of the body, via acupuncture, being able to directly and immediately change how their body is functioning and help it to come into balance. Further, we're taught to respect the power of emotions and the mind on the impact of health. Teaching people to be patient and kind with themselves, helping them to handle the life stresses that come their way that knock them out of balance to begin with. There's a roadmap in Chinese medicine of intricate connections within the body, and that is a science to learn. But it is also an art to know which of the myriad of ways to get to the same destination is the one that does it with the least effort, the most efficacy, and the most lasting impact. So just how effective is this medicine? It still surprises me on a daily basis. I was in the emergency room not long ago and had a patient with early stage heart failure. This gentleman was struggling to breathe. He was in a panic. Every breath was an effort, and this had been going on for several days. While he was being evaluated by my Western colleagues and a plan of action from an allopathic approach was being adopted, I stepped in and gave him a treatment. And within 5 minutes, this man was taking deep, unrestrained breaths. The panic left his eyes, and you could see the immediate relief that acupuncture provided, even in a situation of duress like that. I recall a patient who was born missing a portion of his colon. From the time he was a little boy, he would have to sprint to the restroom 13, 14, 15 times a day. He had to memorize the location of every single one on his way to school, as an adult where they were on his way to work. It was embarrassing. It was constant. And he came because his wife had had a good result. He sat cross-armed, cross-legged, very blunt that he didn't believe that this would affect him positively, but willing to try. And within 2 months of herbs and acupuncture, he was using the restroom 3 times a day at a time of his choosing. He regained control of something that dominated his life for almost 40 years. I could go on and on. This medicine has surprised me and continues to. And I want you to consider, future doctors, what amazing moments await you. How many lives will your work and your heart impact? This is a great field that you are entering at a perfect time. We went from being disregarded and facing endless skepticism to being invited and being recognized as equals. It astounds me at the VA how many of my MD colleagues are eager to work with me, are happy to bring in our expertise, and who acknowledge openly the benefits they see it yielding patients. Modern medicine is a team sport. None of us have all the answers. None of us bring all the pieces. The patient wins when we all work together. So please stay humble and stay open to working collaboratively. As you step into your career, remember that we are a community. Even the simplest things you were taught work well. Your classmates, your professors, your colleagues, we're all here for you. We're just a phone call away. But my most heartfelt advice to you is to never, ever underestimate the power of kindness in medicine. Focus on treating your patients like cherished family. Don't commoditize them. Be generous of heart. Truly care. Make each patient in front of you the most important person in the world for the time that they are in your room. And you will see your practice grow and your patients thrive. Take time and listen. You have 2 ears and 1 mouth because you're supposed to do twice as much listening as you are talking. If you listen to your patients, they will tell you the most vital things that you need to know to get them well. And that is one of the highest forms of respect. That is something that very few people receive, is being deeply listened to, being cared for in that way. Remember that any intervention you make will have double, triple the impact if your patient feels heard, cared for, and important, if there is trust between you. And help your patient see the gifts in illness. As human beings, we tend to change when we're backed into a corner. And illness and challenge is one of those things that backs us into a corner. They teach us to better care for ourselves, to learn to ask for help, to change the way we eat, how we move. They help us build endurance. They humble us. Challenge broadens our capacity for compassion. And although your patients are dealing with the effects of these challenges, you can help them get the gifts. And those gifts soften and help them to heal. Life is messy. Please keep a sense of humor and teach your patients to do the same. All mistakes mean is that you're participating. Find those mistakes funny and instructive. That is one of the best things to teach the people who come into your practice. We all tend to be so hard on ourselves. And please teach from your experience. Don't pretend to have all the answers. I like to say that there is great wisdom in me, and there is, and it lives right next door to great stupidity, which is also in me. Both of them exist in the same man, and that is true for all of us. So, stay humble, stay caring. You grow what you focus on in others. And I firmly believe that we have a responsibility not only to accurately see the imbalances in our patients, but to see their innate well-being. Nature is a phenomenal force. It has organized trillions of cells in such phenomenal complexity into a human being, and we have so little of it to consciously manage. It's a force that we can trust. It's something that we can foster. We know how to heal. Be a lifelong learner. Stay curious. Dig deeper. Learn from your patients. In medicine, it's often felt that the doctor does for the patient. And we do help our patients, but it's a two-way street. If you are paying attention, your patients will teach you as well. You cannot help but learn from another human being's challenges and life experience if you are present with them. There's a saying that those who don't read live one life, and those who read live 1,000. Through the job that you have chosen, you will get to live 1,000 lives. That is a gift your patients will give you. The practice of medicine will touch your life. It will change you, open you, grow you, it will shatter you, it will make you anew. Ram Dass once described his heart opening as being thrust into infinite, unbearable compassion. Don't be afraid. Jump in with both feet. Let the medicine you practice be the alchemy that makes you all the better for it. You will be with some of your patients as they welcome life into the world, and you will be with others helping it to leave this world more kindly and more comfortably. You cannot always cure, but you can always care. Your job is to share the best of the medicine you know and your goodwill. You do not directly control the result. Sometimes your efforts will create miracles, and sometimes your efforts will fall flat on the floor. Accept and adapt. Always give your best effort. Remember that even simple ailments can have deep roots. I recall a patient that was referred to me for carpal tunnel syndrome. She had a computer job that had been going on for years. She was typing, mousing, clicking. Her forearms hurt. It traveled up to her shoulders and her neck. It seemed about the most obvious and simple case that you could hope to get. But never forget to dig deeper. In talking to her, I found out that when she was 5 years old, she was sent to a camp. And at this camp, she had a dear friend. And her friend did not know how to swim, and she did. I don't know how 2 5-year-olds were left unsupervised, but she said to her friend, "Let's go swimming." To which her friend said, "I don't know what to do." She said, "Just do what I do. I move my arms like this." They get in the water, and the worst thing possible happens. And her friend lost her life. And my patient spent the next 25 years of her life punishing herself, doing computer jobs that she hated. She was an artist. She was a creative. She forced herself into these jobs as a punishment for something she felt she did wrong. And what ensued between us was a conversation about what is a 5-year-old's understanding of danger? Where were the adults to protect them in that circumstance? There is no capacity for a child to know what the outcome of that circumstance would be. And like with a lot of veterans, the question came up of what does it mean to honor a human life? Does her suffering in any way honor her friend's life in a way that she would be happy for? And what resulted was somebody letting go of a guilt that was never theirs to hold, somebody reclaiming their joy and passion and realizing that giving that joy and passion to the world was in fact the best testament to her friend, was the most beautiful way to honor her friend. Her carpal tunnel went away pretty quick with the acupuncture, but if that had been where we stopped, how much would have been missed? So every person who comes in front of you, please take the time to dig a little deeper, to get to know them, to see if sometimes the imbalance they're facing has a deeper root. One of the things I love about our medicine is that it requires us to take the pulse of another human being. It is your job to get quiet, to not only find the qualities you feel on a pulse. Is it rapid? Is it slow? Is it deep? Is it weak? Is it pounding? Is it rolling? All of which are important for diagnosis. But to get quiet and tune in to the person in front of you, to literally rest your fingers on their heartbeat, to come into some kind of alignment and understanding with them before you take any intervention to impact them. You'll be amazed what you will learn from that process. Now, I'm biased, but I think that it is a special kind of person who is called to this medicine. And as I look out at you graduates, I see some pretty phenomenal, compassionate, and talented human beings. And I want to send you out with every ounce of goodwill I have, and I know in the marrow of my bones that you will have phenomenal careers and will help a lot of people. And above all else, if you take nothing else away from this talk, please never underestimate the power of kindness in medicine. Congratulations, class of 2023.